Question number 11. What are the roots of the equation x squared plus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0? Is it A, -2 and -3, B, 2 and 3, C, -2 and 3, or D, 2 and -3? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Alright, my dear math learners, this is a problem in which we will be solving. So we can apply one of the 4 methods. And for me, my dear math learners, one of the easiest way to solve this kind of equation is by the use of factoring. So we factor them by putting 2 quantities. We will factor first our first term. So that would be x and x. Alright. Now, we will factor our last term such that when we factor them, it must have a sum when added to our middle term. So, what are the factors of 6 in which the sum would be positive 5? So, that would be positive 3 and positive 2. Alright, so now after this one, we will now be applying the zero product property. So, we will both equate the factors by 0. Okay. And of course, we will solve the value of x, and we just transpose this positive 2 to the other side, giving us -2, while the other one would give us -3. So therefore, the correct answer for this problem is letter A. Alright, -2 and -3. Let's check whether we are correct. Alright, my dear math learners, I hope you got that one. Now, let us go to question number 12. Which equation has 3 as a root? Is it A, x squared plus 9 is equal to 0, B, x squared minus 9 is equal to 0, C, x squared minus 4x minus 5 is equal to 0, or D, 2x squared minus 6x plus 3 is equal to 0? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Okay, my dear math learners, in answering this question, what you need to do is to substitute our x to the value of 3. And if the answer would be 0, then that is your correct answer. The other thing is by the use of factoring, in which among the 4 choices here, we have a difference of 2 squares. Now, as we can see here, letter B has a difference of 2 squared because x squared and 9 are both perfect squares. Now, if that is the case, the factor of that would be x plus 3 and x minus 3. Now, solving that one with the zero product property, that will result one of the roots as positive 3. So therefore, the correct answer for this question is letter B. Alright, let's check whether we are correct. Alright, so x squared minus 9 is equal to 0. I hope you got that one. Now, let us go to question number 13. Find the discriminant of the quadratic equation x squared plus 4x minus 3 is equal to 0. Is it A, 16, B, 20, C, 28, or D, 36? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Alright, my dear math learners, in solving for the discriminant of a quadratic equation, we can follow with its formula. So that is b squared minus 4ac. Of course, our b here is positive 4, while our a is 1 and our c is negative 3. So by applying the b squared minus 4ac, that would give us 4 squared, okay, for the first term, that is 16, and then minus 4ac, that would be 4 times 1 times negative 3. So 4 times 1, that is 4 times negative 3, that is negative 12. But since this is minus, so there will be 16 minus negative 12. So that would give us 16 plus 12. Alright. So 16 plus 12, that is 28. And if we check our choices, we have letter C as our answer. Let's check whether we are correct. Alright, my dear math learners. Now, if you did not get that one, just rewind our discussion for this question. Now, let us go to question number 14. Which quadratic equation has no real roots? Is it A, 5m squared plus 3m is equal to 2? B, t squared minus 4t minus 5 is equal to 0? C, 3s squared minus 2s is equal to negative 3? Or D, negative 2r squared plus r plus 5 is equal to 0? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Okay, my dear math learners, how do we answer this question? So, first things first, what we need to do is to check which among these four choices has a negative discriminant. Why? Because if you have a negative discriminant, then that is the time that we could say that your quadratic equation has no real roots. Alright. So if we check letter A, we have, if we follow the b squared minus 4ac, okay, that would give us, our b is 3 squared, our a is 5, and our c, when we transpose this one, this will become negative. So that is negative 2. Okay. So if that is the case, then this will become 9 plus, because 2 negatives becomes positive. So 4 times 5, 20. And 20 times 2, that is 40, giving us 49. So letter A is not the answer. For letter B, we have negative 4 squared for its B. Okay. And then minus 4. Our A is 1 and our C is negative 5. Okay. So that means this is 16. Negative and negative, that will be positive 20, giving us 36. So letter B is also wrong. Now going to letter C, we have negative 2 squared minus 4 times 3. Okay, and then when we transpose this one to the other side, that would be positive 3. So this will become 4 minus 3 times 3 is 9 times 4, that would be 36. So we have negative 32. So therefore, we already have the answer. The correct answer is letter C. So let's check whether we are correct, my dear math learners. Alright, so I hope you got that one. So now let us go to question number 15. What is the nature of the roots if the discriminant of a quadratic equation is negative? Is it A, no real roots, B, rational and equal roots, C, irrational and not equal roots, or D, rational and not equal roots? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Okay, my dear math learners, this is very, very easy because in number 14, I already told you that if an equation has no real roots, meaning the discriminant is negative. So therefore, if your discriminant is negative, then letter A is the correct answer. Let's check whether we are correct. Alright, my dear math learners, so now let us go to question number 16. What is the discriminant of the quadratic equation 3x squared minus 5x minus 2 is equal to 0? Is it A, negative 49, B, 25, C, 49, or D, 73? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Okay, my dear math learners, one thing you need to learn about discriminant is that when you check your value of A and the value of C, if one of them is negative, then it will make your discriminant positive. Okay? So, as we can see here, our B is negative 5. So, when you square that one from the B squared minus 4AC, it will become 25. Alright. Now, multiplying minus 4 times A times C, which is minus 4AC, that would mean 3 times 2, that is 6. 6 times 4, that would be 24. And since we have minus from the minus 4AC and negative 2 here, that will be positive. So therefore, we have 25 plus 24, giving us positive letter C. Very good, 49. Let's check whether we are correct. Alright, now let us go to question number 17. What is the sum of the roots of the quadratic equation 2x squared plus 8x minus 12 is equal to 0? Is it A, negative 4, B, 4, C, negative 8, or D, positive 8? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Alright, my dear math learners, one of the techniques in knowing the sum of the roots of a quadratic equation is in the middle, in the linear term. So the linear term is basically negative b over a. So the sum of the roots is equal to negative b over a. So our b here is 8 and our a here is 2. So if you divide that, that would be positive 4. But since the formula is negative b over a, that means it will become negative 4. So the correct answer for this question is letter A. Alright, my dear math learners, easy, right? Now, let us go to question number 18. What are the sum and product of the roots of x squared minus 9x plus 20 is equal to 0? Is it A, 9 and 20, B, negative 9 and 20, C, 9 and negative 20, or D, negative 9 and negative 20? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Alright, my dear math learners, in answering this one, you don't need to solve. Why? Because if your value of A is 1, meaning the invisible 1 here, automatically, your sum and roots is the B and the C. But for the B, it is the opposite value. So, the C, the exact value. So, in order to know the sum and the product, that refers to your B and to your C, but opposite of B. Alright? So, therefore, that will become positive 9 and exact for product, that is positive 20. So, positive 9 and positive 20 is the correct answer for this question. Let's check whether we are correct. Alright, now let us go to question number 19. The roots of a quadratic equation are negative 3 and negative 6. Which equation has these roots? Is it A, x squared plus 9x plus 18, B, x squared minus 9x plus 18 is equal to 0, C, x squared plus 9x minus 18 is equal to 0, or D, x squared minus 9x minus 18 is equal to 0. I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Okay, my dear math learners, we can apply in reverse about the sum and product of the roots. Now, remember what I've said earlier, that the product is the C, the actual value of C. So, when you multiply this one, negative 3 and negative 6, that is positive 18. So, therefore, C and D is already wrong. So, A and B are the only choices that we have. Now, in the sum, we know that it is the value of B, but the opposite side. So, if we add negative 3 and negative 6, that would be negative 9. When we change that to its opposite, that would be positive 9. So, therefore, that would be 9x. So, the correct answer for this one is letter A. Which rational algebraic equation is transformable into a quadratic equation? Is it A, 3 over x plus 2 is equal to 5 over x? C, the quantity 2x over x minus 1 plus the quantity 1 over x plus 1 is equal to 2. C, x over 2 over x is equal to 5. Or D, the quantity x minus 1 over the quantity x plus 2 is equal to 3. I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Okay, my dear math learners. Now, in knowing which among these choices is transformable to quadratic equation, what you need to do is to use the LCD and multiply it to the whole equation. So, if we check this one, letter A, the LCD is x because both denominators is x. If we multiply x to the whole equation, this will become 5 because it will cancel the x. And in this left side, it will cancel the 3, but in 2, that will become 2x. But if we consider, we don't have any x squared, so that is wrong. We have here, in letter B, x minus 1 and x plus 2. So, of course, the LCD of x minus 1 and x plus 1 is basically using the FOIL method, that would be x squared minus 2x minus 2. So, if we multiply that to the whole equation, it will cancel the x minus 1 factor and it will cancel the x plus 1 factor. But in this side, it will become 2x squared minus 4x minus 4. So, in that scenario, you already have a quadratic equation. So, the correct answer for this question is letter B. Let's check whether we are correct. Alright, my dear math learners. Now, if you are asking, why don't we validate C and D? If you already got the correct answer, no need to validate the other choices. Okay? So that your time won't be wasted. Alright. So, my dear math learners, congratulations again for finishing half of our reviewer series because we are already halfway. You have finished the 2 parts of our reviewer series, and if I would ask, what is your partial score among these 20 questions that we have? Share it in our comment section below. If you find this very helpful, please click the subscribe button. Now, let us go to question 21.